Good afternoon, YouTubers. Welcome back in to another edition of Astros Recap. It is July 23rd, so happy opening day to all you baseball fans out there. Of course, only 2 games tonight, so if you're a fan of the Yankees, Nationals, Dodgers, or Giants, then this is definitely an exciting time for you. I'll have more excitement tomorrow, but I am stoked the season's about to start, so everything good so far. Just trying to locate my mic, as you see right here. But anyway, so sound quality may not be as good today just because of the simple fact I've been having trouble trying to hook this up. But same place, bedroom, as you see. College diploma there. Got the curtains closed over here and then back. Let's see if I can get it away here. Sort of see my trophies slash, well, I got bobbleheads, of course, over here, but trophies and other stuff I've won from Little League Baseball, basketball, bowling, all that good stuff I did when I was younger. But same place. I wanted to bring a guest on today. Friends were unavailable, so unfortunately I couldn't have them on. I will definitely try to have that next time. In fact, if you've listened to previous podcasts, 2 of my good friends after the Astros won the pennant last year, George and Christian, I expect to have them on next time. So please tune in for that. And for now, it's opening day, so pretty happy about that. But I wanted to talk about the roster. And one of the things I talked about in my last podcast, which was about 2-3 weeks ago, was I gave you my predictions, of course. But I wanted to sort of predict the roster, one of the things I said I'd do in this podcast. But obviously, the roster's already been set, so I'm not going to predict. Also, they expanded the rosters to 30 people, so I would have gotten maybe to 20, 25, and then I would have been sort of stuck. So, adding 5 more, obviously, with the coronavirus, which is still alive and well. Not going anywhere anytime soon, at least, I believe. So, but I will pull up my roster on my phone here, so give me just a quick second as I do so. Had a friend send it to me this morning, so 30 people, of course, which will then diminish to 28, I believe, after about a week, and then another week it will diminish to 26, which is what you're supposed to be at. So previous years, you have a 25-man roster. This year was expanded to 26. And then the coronavirus hit, and now they're adding more because of just the potential of players getting the virus. And you need quick replacements. Also, minor league seasons have been canceled for all teams. So a lot of players, if they're not on your so-called taxi squad, you really can't use them, and they can't get any practice. I mean, they can stay in shape and do their own sort of drills, but with no minor league season, the development of some of your minor league players, especially those teams that are stacked in their farm system, Astros, of course, not one of those teams, but those teams that have stacked minor league systems may be a year behind in the development of those players. Only 2 people really for us, Kyle Tucker and Forrest Whitley, were 2 guys Jeff Luhnow, when he was our general manager, did not want to part ways with. So we have both of them. Tucker is on the opening day roster, 30-man that is. Forrest Whitley is in your taxi squad, so he can be used at some point. In fact, I'd like to get him some big league experience. I mean, he's been in the minor leagues much too long, if you ask me, and quite frankly, with the injuries we have, which I'll get into in just a minute, I think that he's actually probably, I would like to see him other than some of the other guys that we actually have on the roster right now. But anyway, so on our roster here, I was doing this last night just on my hand, trying to think of 20 or 25 guys. All the position players I got, which was 15. So you got 15 position players, I believe. Let me double check here. Yeah, 15 position players and 15 pitchers. So that's what we're looking at here. Obviously, the regular. So we're going to carry 3 catchers, which is understandable. And those 3, of course, are Martin Maldonado, Dustin Garneau, offseason acquisition, and Garrett Stubbs. So we've seen Stubbs at the big league level, hasn't done a whole lot. I do like Martin Maldonado. He's got some pop. He's really there for defense. He'll hit 8th or 9th in the order, so any offense you get will be a bonus, but he's really there for defense, and he works well with our pitchers. And then Garneau, it's kind of a wait and see. I mean, I haven't really kept up with him a whole lot or know a whole lot about him. I know he played for like the Angels. He played, I think, in our division. I just don't know exactly where. But I don't know enough about him to really give him sort of my opinion on how I think he is. And a lot of these players, new season, clean slate, so usually things that have happened in the past I'll just sort of put to the side, and it's a new season. So, and I'll talk about that here in just a minute with one of our guys. But anyway, so you think about the regulars, of course. So the 3 catchers, Maldonado, Garneau, Stubbs. Of course, Yuli Gurriel at first. I also like to throw Alemnis Diaz into that category there. You'll have Altuve at second. Shortstop, you'll have, of course, Correa and Abraham Toro. Or actually, no. Toro sort of backs up Bregman at third. I put Jack Mayfield there with Correa at short. And then, of course, Alex Bregman, that is, and Abraham Toro. So that's 10 players there when you fill out the infield with the catchers. And then, of course, your 5 outfielders will be Michael Brantley, George Springer, Josh Reddick, Kyle Tucker, and Miles Straw. Straw's sort of taking over the Jake Marisnick role of last year. We'll see how that works out. So there's your 15 position players, which I could have named. I might have left out, Toro. Toro's a guy I forgot about. Mayfield was a guy I forgot about. But I had the catchers and the outfielders and, of course, the everyday infielders. Diaz was with the team last year, and he's actually pretty good, I think, especially as a backup or a utility guy. He made an all-star team his rookie year with the Cardinals, and he actually had some moments. I don't think it was last year, but I guess last year was his first year. We had all these injuries early in the season. He actually was doing a good job filling in for Altuve at second when he got hurt and was out for a while. But so 15 position players, just to get back here, not get too far off track, and then 15 pitchers. Pitchers, of course. Of course, you got Verlander, who's going to start opening day, which is tomorrow. McCullers will get the nod in Game 2. It'll be Greinke in Game 3. Jose Urquidy, a guy that you thought would definitely slide in. He's actually on the 10-day IL, along with Yordan Alvarez, guy I did not mention. I believe Kyle Tucker will get most of those DH at-bats while Yordan is out. Hopefully we get those back quicker, sooner rather than later. That is both Yordan Alvarez and Jose Urquidy, but you're going to slide right to Josh James as your 4th starter, and Framber Valdez, who I'm not a huge fan of. But again, like I said earlier, I don't want to judge these guys until I see them play 2020 baseball. But that's your 5-man rotation. Those are 5 pitchers, and then you have 10 guys in the bullpen, which is a lot of guys, but that's just sort of the way it's going to be for now, at least. So as I look at the bullpen here, and there's a lot of names I have no idea here, so I'll know, of course, some of them. I'm trying to get into this here. Here we go. All right. So Roberto Osuna was a guy we were unsure if he was going to make the team, not because he was dealing with something. It wasn't injury related, but he actually did make this roster, which is encouraging. I don't know if he'll be ready to pitch the first few games, but at least he's here and he's there. And Presley, another guy in the bullpen, of course, has to close a few games. I'd feel pretty comfortable with him. Hopefully he's fully healed or recovered. He had that big knee issue that really affected his pitching last year, or so I hope so, because he was so good for the first half of the season. Second half he dealt with a knee issue, finally had surgery on it, came back, and then he sort of re-injured it, but he was just never the same. So Presley's a big guy that we really need to step up, especially with the loss of Will Harris. Again, back on track here. So Osuna's there, Presley's there, Joe Smith, another guy who opted out of the season, only guy to my knowledge or that we've heard of so far, Obviously, with the 60-game season and the coronavirus still looming around the world, not everybody is interested in playing this year, it's their decision. So Joe Smith, a guy who I thought would figure into a sort of a setup role, is not here. So Presley's going to have a little bit more weight on his shoulders. But yeah, Brian Abreu, a guy who hasn't had a lot of big league experience, but apparently the Astros have high hopes for him, because I haven't seen a pitch or really know a whole lot about him or his numbers in the minor leagues, but they have high hopes for Brian Abreu. So we'll see there. Joe Biagini, a guy last year who got traded over, of course, with Aaron Sanchez in that Blue Jays deal at the deadline. He had a few outings early on as an Astro, and he was actually not bad. Not spectacular, but not bad, and then he sort of fell off a cliff. So Biagini, I don't know what to look at. When I look at the bullpen, which is the biggest sort of question mark when it comes to the Astros roster, I'm looking at people who's going to bridge the gap to Presley and Osuna in the 8th, 9th innings. If you get a guy that goes 5-6, or a guy that, like Lance McCullers, for instance, has always had an issue with his pitch count. He'll be at 80, 90 pitches by the 4th, 5th inning, and you're looking into your bullpen because he can't go deep enough. Another guy, so I talked about Joe Smith, Jose Urquidy. Brad Peacock is another guy that's not available. He's actually on the IL, I believe. He's dealing with some injury. And the other guy, so Joe Smith opted out, Yordan Alvarez, Jose Urquidy, Brad Peacock, and Austin Pruitt are all on the IL, I believe. So hopefully, like I said, we get those players back sooner rather than later. I don't know what to expect from Austin Pruitt, but Brad Peacock is sort of your quote-unquote long reliever, and that could really come in handy if you have pitchers that can't go deep into ball games. And Brad Peacock has been pretty solid for us the last few years. So, but I'm looking at this. So, of course, Chris Davinsky, I don't really have a lot of faith in him. Talked about our starters. So I still look at this. Cy Snead, a guy who's had some experience. Not enough of a sample to really make a good judgment on him yet. But he's there. We talked about, of course, our starters. So 15 position players, and just to run through our pitchers, of course, Verlander, McCullers, Greinke, James, and Framber Valdez fill out your 5-man rotation. Then you have Brian Abreu, talked about briefly, Brandon Bailey, who, that name actually sounds familiar, but he hasn't really pitched in the big leagues. I don't think, at least. I've never heard of that or heard of him, so that's a wait and see. Talked about Biagini, Davinsky. Christian Javier is a new guy. We'll see with him, I think. I watched a little bit of the exhibition game back on Tuesday, I believe. Yeah, Tuesday. And I think he pitched and he did okay. Of course, And then another new name here, Onoli Paredes. That's a guy that apparently the Astros, sort of in that Brian Abreu category, has never pitched in the big leagues, to my knowledge, but he's a guy that apparently is blow away or good stuff, like Brian Abreu. So we're going to need one of these no-name guys that I've never really heard of to step up, because we need setup guys, I think, is going to be your biggest question mark as it comes to this season. So Paredes there. Ryan Presley, of course, Cy Snead. Blake Taylor, another new guy. Never heard of. We'll see. But I can't comment on these people until I see them in action coming up here. So, yes. So just to run down, Brian Abreu, Brandon Bailey, Joe Biagini, Chris Davinsky, Zach Greinke, Josh James, Christian Javier, Lance McCullers, Roberto Osuna, Onoli Paredes, Ryan Presley, Cy Snead, Blake Taylor, Framber Valdez, and Justin Verlander are your 15 pitchers. And, of course, Jose Altuve, Alex Bregman, Carlos Correa, Alemnis Diaz, Yuli Gurriel, Jack Mayfield, Abraham Toro, Michael Brantley, Josh Reddick, George Springer, Miles Straw, Kyle Tucker, Dustin Garneau, Martin Maldonado, and Garrett Stubbs wraps up your 30-man roster. So I like I said, could have gotten about 20 to 25 of those people. And then the new guys we've never seen in my entire life are Brandon Bailey, of course, Christian Javier, Enoli Paredes, and Blake Taylor. 4 new bullpen pieces. We'll sort of wait and see what we get out of them. So yeah, season starts tomorrow, 60-game sprint. One thing that was not released was the schedule. And I'm not going to go through the schedule. I'll just tell you right now. They're playing 40 games, 10 games apiece against their divisional opponents, which is the Mariners, A's, Rangers, and Angels. Well, I forgot what I said. But the A's, the Mariners, the Angels, the Rangers are your 4 divisional opponents, and you'll play each of those teams 10 times. Those 20 remaining games will be against the NL West, which is the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks, the Rockies, the Padres, and the Giants. Yes. So that'll be interesting. The schedule, your easiest team undoubtedly be the Mariners. The Astros actually open up the season with 4 games Monday or tomorrow, Friday through Monday. So it's sort of a wraparound series. There's going to be a lot of times and sort of how your series lay out. Got a lot more 2-game sets, I believe, as well. So it'll be interesting. But we do start off a 4-game set at Minute Maid Park against the Mariners coming up starting tomorrow. Then we'll have 2 against the Dodgers before we actually head out on the road. And of course, I'll be coming to you weekly with my podcasts like this one. And I'll be able to sort of recap sort of the week in Astros baseball and sort of make judgments on these players and keep you up to date with the schedule, other teams as well, what they're doing. Obviously, the Yankees and the Dodgers are the 2 favorites right now to go to win the World Series. So we'll see how that pans out. But I want to get on to explain the roster, which I did. 15 position players, 15 pitchers. About what I'd expect. Usually when A.J. Hinch managed, he'd like to carry, when this was a 25-man roster, he'd like to carry an extra pitcher. So he'd have like 12 players and 13. Now with the 30-man roster, of course, 15. And hopefully, everybody stays healthy. Of course, you got, your injuries in the bullpen right now with, Yordan Alvarez, of course, the only injury position player-wise. And then in the bullpen, or with your starter, Urquidy, of course, Brad Peacock, Austin Pruitt. I also had this pulled up, so I believe I named them all at some point. Maybe I X'd out of it over here. Yeah. But, yeah. So Alvarez, Urquidy, Brad Peacock, Austin Pruitt, and then Joe Smith opted out. So that's where we're at. Joe Smith is on the restricted list. So, and these players, once they make the decision to opt out, they can't change their mind and come back in. So, but anyway, so trying to think here. Anything else really to talk about? But yeah, the big question marks, and I talked about this in previous podcasts, is the pitching. So, I like Verlander. McCullers has looked good so far in his starts. Zach Greinke, we'll wait and see. I'm actually not too worried about Greinke. I think he'll pitch pretty well. Verlander will do Verlander until I see otherwise. He's been pretty good. And then, Josh James, we'll see. He's not very consistent, to say the least. But we'll see with Josh James. I did like Urquidy. Of course, we won't have him to start the year. And then the bullpen is just, put Ryan Presley and Osuna aside, Roberto that is, and then we'll see with the bullpen. A lot of unknowns. So when it comes to our bullpen, and of course the 4 pitchers that I've never even heard of in my entire life, but we'll see what Dusty Baker wants to do when we get in those late inning situations where we're tied or up a run or 2 and he has to pick a guy. Hopefully our starters can give us enough length. Hopefully we stay injury-free. Like I said, Joe Smith is the only Astro I think that's decided not to play this year. There's been other players around the league, of course. Nobody of huge significance, I would say. But we'll wait and see. So, excited for the season start tomorrow. I'll be watching baseball tonight. Finally, those nights of not having a lot. I'd watch reruns of Shark Tank and Two and a Half Men, but now I finally get live sports for the first time. So that is exciting. And then tomorrow, I'll be watching games, live games, even if it's not the Astros, is going to excite me at this point. I mean, it's been more than 4 months. Can't believe I made it as long as I have. I just hope these sports can go, because basketball starts, a week from today. So you'll get baseball for a week and then basketball, and then before you know it, hopefully, if all goes to plan, we'll have sports to watch basically all day, whenever I have the time. So yeah, getting excited. Yankees and Nationals play here in about an hour, so definitely be watching that. But I want to get on mainly to talk about the roster and the start of the season. I'm not going to go through the entire schedule. I did make predictions on my last podcast, so if I just were to go quickly back through those here. So obviously I had the Astros in the AL West, Minnesota Twins in the AL Central, and the Yankees in the AL East, which I think most people would agree with those three teams being locks to win their division. Although in a 60-game season, really anything can happen, so we'll see here. But, yeah, and then my two wildcard spots, the Rays. A lot of people are high on the Rays, and, I got them. I think they'll be a very good team. I do. I think that they could be neck and neck with the Yankees the entire year. So I do think the Yankees will ultimately win their division, but I think the Rays will be right on their tails for the majority of the year. And then going sort of out on a limb here, but I picked the White Sox, I believe, to have that second wild card. I'm not as high on the Angels as people are. The A's could really be there as well. The A's have been in the wild card. The reason I kept the A's out is because in their last 2-3 years when they've been very good, they've done most of they finally get their things together and start winning ball games in the second half of the year. They won't have, I don't know. That's a tough one, but I'm not going to back away. I'm going to stick with the White Sox. I like their talent, a lot of young talent, but I think that 60 one of those. That's my sort of playoff teams in the AL. For the NL, of course, in the West, got the Dodgers pretty easily winning that division. The Central, I believe I picked the Brewers. Sounds right. As long as Christian Yelich can stay healthy, I'm going to stick with the Brewers. I think Josh Hader's still there. Their starting pitching concerns me a little bit. But the Brewers, they won, or they were in a wild card game, I guess, last year. Right? Yeah, they lost to the Nationals. Who won that division, though? It was the Cardinals won that division, I think. I don't think any of those teams are going to be really spectacular in the NL Central. So I don't think it's going to be a tough division to win. So maybe that's another reason why I picked the Brewers. And then in the East, I picked the Braves. And I actually picked the two wildcard teams also to the NL East, as I'll have the Nationals taking the first wildcard spot and the Mets taking the second. So just to recap quickly of my predictions there. But all in all, like I said, very excited to start the season here. Hopefully things go well for the Astros. 60 games. I could see them winning anywhere from 35 to 40, and I think that would be good enough to win the division. So it's going to be very strange. No fans, of course. You got sort of the universal DH, the runner starting at second if you get to extra innings. So you'll have a runner at second with nobody out, and you'll start the inning. So it'll be interesting to see sort of how this goes. It won't be baseball as we all know and love, but it might take some getting used to. But to see live sports for the first time will be very refreshing. So anyway, leave the comments below. Anything you'd like to add or anything you'd like to share. If you think I'm wrong anywhere with anything, please let me know. I'll definitely respond if a response is warranted. I will be back here right here well, actually, it might be a different setup than what you've seen the last 3 podcasts here if I have to go somewhere to meet my friends, but I want them on this next podcast. More views, like to bounce ideas off one another, so hopefully I can get them on the next one. Do everything I can here. With the coronavirus and them working and our schedules not really matching up, or, it's kind of hard to do that, so... But this weekend, I think that we're all pretty much free, so there should be a point this weekend. The Astros get a few games in. I'll talk to you. Usually I do my weekly podcast Sunday night, so my guess is the next time I talk to you, it will be a nighttime podcast. So, but anyway, like I said, do all that good stuff on YouTube. Share this with your friends. Of course, hit that subscribe button. You'll get all my videos. But I'll be here all week and much more frequently as games actually start to happen here. So hopefully we can get through the season. But it's just a wait and see. So I'm just excited that we're finally starting something here. So happy opening day to all you out there, especially for those Yankees, Dodgers, Giants, and Nationals fans and players. And I'll be more stoked tomorrow when I wake up and be ready to do some things. But yeah, I watch all games, so whether I'm at home, whether I'm at work, whether I'm doing something, I'll definitely be watching, keeping tabs, and I'll be able to break everything down for you every week. So we'll talk to you most likely. I can't give you really a day, but it will be this weekend. At the very latest, it will be Sunday night, but if I have my friends over on Saturday or something like that, we might do it then. So anyway, happy opening day, and we'll see you then.